Hello and welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this edition, Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam confirms government has formally received a draft memorandum of understanding from Official Creditor Committee.
But I'm happy, ladies and gentlemen, to announce that we have moved beyond agreement in principle. As of yesterday, 3rd May 2024, we officially received the draft memorandum of understanding.
We shall be analyzing some of the measures introduced by government to stabilize the economy with an economist pretty soon. Also in this bulletin, Ministry of Trade and Industry makes progress with creation of Business Regulatory Reforms Commission to improve ease of doing business in the country.
It is not just about duplication, it's about doing the right thing and making sure that business owners and investors become comfortable in the area they are doing business. And that is why I think the ultimate essence of trying to create this division into becoming a commission one day.
Plus, calls intensify for a unified digital market across Africa to facilitate trade and collaboration as the continent prepares to mark AU Day.
We want to prohibit the localization of computing services because we believe that we can and we should be a single digital market as the African continent.
Details of these and many others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kojo Baka, and look now at our stories. Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam has confirmed that government has formally received a draft memorandum of understanding from the Official Creditor Committee. This is a significant progress with an agreement expected to be signed in a few days, paving way for the release of some $360 million by the IMF. James Ishen has more.
The Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, at the press has said government will move fast to sign the Memorandum of Understanding on the debt restructuring with the bilateral creditors. This is said will be done when the ministry is done reviewing the document.
But I'm happy, ladies and gentlemen, to announce that we have moved beyond agreement in principle. As of yesterday, 3rd May 2024, we officially received the draft memorandum of understanding from the Official Creditor Committee. The government, therefore, with support from our financial and legal advisors, will quickly review this draft agreement with the view to finalizing and signing the agreement with the OCC as soon as possible.
Government is also expected to inject some 2.3 million Ghana cedis into the National Investment Bank over the period of 12 months.
As part of the implementation of the PCPEC, ladies and gentlemen, Cabinet has approved the plan for restructuring and recapitalization of the National Investment Bank. This will require a program injection of about 2.3 billion Ghana cedis. And this will be done over the next 12 months. The first tranche of 400 million Ghana cedis is expected to be transferred to the National Investment Bank before the end of this month, May 2024. And this demonstrates our commitment to implementing the recapitalization and restructuring program for NIB. The plan also includes measures to strengthen the governance structure. Government has intervened in NIB in the past.
On the free fall of the Ghana cedi, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam indicated that this is partly due to payments made to contractors and the IPPs. Finance Minister said the ministry is also committed to ensure that the cedi gains some stability very soon.
We're also expecting the disbursement of $300 million United States dollars under the World Bank Development Policy Operation 2, possibly in the 3rd quarter of this year, and disbursement of $200 million to Ghana Exim Bank and Ghana Commercial Bank, GCB, by EBIT, ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development.
Now, on the Eurobond negotiations, Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam says government is making some sort of progress in that regard.
We have, in a very constructive manner, also made significant and good progress on our Eurobond holders. It is important to note that we are operating under a complex set of constraints as part of the IMF debt sustainability thresholds, and this formed the context and basis of discussions for a mutual understanding of the financial parameters with our Eurobond holders. We've held several rounds of negotiations on proposals and counter-proposals on the Eurobond treatment.
The Finance Minister also assured the country that it is working to improve the capacity building of some small and medium enterprises across the country. For Joy Business, James Eshen.
Let's have a discussion on the back of this. Joining us via Zoom to do that is an economist who is also the director of ISEP, Professor Peter Quartey. Thanks so much, Professor Quartey, for agreeing to speak to us on Business Live. Even before we touch on the specifics, what do you make of the broad issues of the finance minister basically touching on the economy and what he intends to do to address the concerns?
Good evening to your discerning viewers and listeners. I think, touching base with stakeholders, regularly communicating is commendable in my view, because that reduces the speculation we see on the market. Trying to give us, bring us up to speed with data, bring us to speed with what government is trying to do itself is commendable. And you can see the data. We can tell where we are and where we are going to. I believe that is quite remarkable. The broad description about growth, where we have come from with growth rate of about 2.9% and our likelihood to grow by 5% in the medium term is still encouraging. It assures people, assures investors, assures Ghanaians that, yes, this is an economy that is resilient, that is robust, despite our inherent weaknesses. I believe we are able to turn things around if we put our heads and our hands together. We've seen inflation reducing, although still around 25%. There is some considerable decline in the rate of inflation. It's the exchange rate movement which is a challenge, and I believe we'll talk about that in a moment. But that has been a major challenge. But that is to be expected. In an election year, you see a lot of speculative activities. Also, in the first quarter of every year, we see a lot of capital flight. We see repatriation of profits by corporate bodies and many other things that drives demand and therefore affects movement in the exchange rate. But expected inflows, I believe, will help cushion some of these problems.
And I want us to stay a while longer on the exchange rate matters. And of course, he has assured the business community that, well, there's no need for them to panic. Are you convinced that indeed the measures they've put in place will do the trick?
Well, certainly, if we don't panic, the business community doesn't panic with the expected inflow from 150 from the World Bank, another 300 from the World Bank, about the third tranche of the IMF inflows, some COCO syndicated returns or loans, and a few others. Of course, we export as a country. We get export revenue. So all of this, I believe, can help. But if we don't enforce the regulatory rules properly, that might elude us. Why do I say so? We have allowed the black market to flourish in every developed or developing economy that aims to achieve price stability. You cannot just walk in and buy forex without leaving traces of that and walk away. And I think that is what we have allowed. I think we need to formalize the black market if we want it to exist. Otherwise, we clamp down on the black market. Otherwise, if we don't do that, we're just putting money in a basket, water in a basket, and we'll lose all this forest that flows in. Nigeria is struggling with forests, and they can walk into Ghana, buy forests, and move it out. So if we don't strengthen our regulatory requirements, I am sure we are certainly to have problems, and these things will persist. Let's also be minded that in an election year, there's a lot of noise. All the political parties, people making noise about this government is not doing well, this is not doing, negative news affects the financial system, doesn't like noise. And therefore, this also accounts for the high speculations we are seeing on the market. So there are a few things we need to do to ensure that the inflows will stay and make our exchange rate more stable and reliable.
Let's talk about the debt restructuring with external creditors. And it looks like we have made some progress, significant one for the matter, and we could be closing that page soon.
Yes, with the debt restructuring, it's been a long, lengthy process, but I think it's in order. I mean, if you invest your money and if somebody wants to give you a haircut or you're going to lose returns, of course, these are money. Also, some are people's lifetime savings, some are collective savings, and they ought to be careful how much they give out. So it's been a long, lengthy process, but I believe we've come a long way. Now the way is much clearer. MOU has been received, which the government is studying, and hopefully we'll come to a compromise or consensus situation and sign. When that happens, there will be certainty on the minds of investors, because at the moment, people are not too sure whether this restructuring process will go on, how long it will go on, and what are the implications. But having signed the term sheet, I believe will bring some certainty to the market, and investors can then comfortably engage with Ghana. Because Ghana has one good thing, that is we have a stable political environment and with some level of macro stability. So every investor would like to engage in a country that has a long established democracy.
And ultimately boost the local economy and confidence about the economy, right?
Oh, certainly. I mean, as the economists will say, all things being equal, I mean, if this happens, it will boost the local economy, production growth will increase, employment will be enhanced. This exchange rate and inflation challenges we are facing will be minimized. And of course, everybody can focus and do business as we always love to do.
Thank you so much, Professor Peter Quartey, for agreeing to speak to us on Business Live. Now, let's move on to some other stories. The Ministry of Trade and Industry has made progress with a move to improve the country's ease of doing business among peers in the West African sub-region. This follows move by the Business Regulatory Reform Technical Working Group to create a Business Regulatory Commission, which will be a one-stop shop for all business regulations in the country. After a short ceremony with the committee in Accra, Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry Michael Otri-Befi assured that this will position Ghana as one of the best destinations for business and investments. Here's a report.
The Technical Working Committee is proposing to have full automation of all business regulatory processes in all districts of the country. Cabinet is expected to give its full blessing when this is concluded. Then, a proposed regulation to have the commission set up as a body with a specific mandate. Addressing journalists after meeting with the judicial services to deal with concerns of dispute resolution, Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry Michael Otri-Befi justified the need for such a commission.
Work is to make sure that businesses are done well. People have comfort in business. When you saw the Guta people, when I see Guta and see AGI here, I mean, making contributions to business, I'm happy, at least having engagement with them. That means that we are building relationships so that we're able to do business well. So note that it is not just about duplication, it's about doing the right thing and making sure that business owners and investors become comfortable in the area they are doing business. And that is why I think the ultimate essence of trying to create this division into becoming a commission one day is very important. It is not about duplication of functions or duties, but it is about giving them more power, making them so strong to be able to do this business well, so that it will ultimately benefit the country.
Mr. Otri-Befi explained government's interest is to have a business-friendly environment without suppressing growth.
The essence of this is to achieve the ease of being, positively, the ease of doing business. As a government, our interest, I've always said, is not to suppress businesses or to make businesses suffer unnecessarily. That is not our mission or mandate at all. We are interested in helping businesses to do business well without any hassle.
The Judicial Service is assured of supporting the initiative to ensure that dealing with dispute resolution in business is improved.
Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, Wamkele Mene, has emphasized the need for a unified digital market across Africa to facilitate trade and collaboration. Speaking to Joy Business ahead of the AU Day, he highlighted the progress made in developing infrastructure like the Pan-African Payments and Settlement System, which aims to unlock the continent's digital potential.
Colonial economic model, the patterns that continue to prevail of global trade, is precisely what Ghana set out to dismantle today. So when we were established here, it was consistent with the vision of our founding mothers and fathers. When we came here in 2020 to dismantle, today we have a digital trade protocol to advance Africa's technological digital economy to include the millions and millions and millions of young Africans who are at the cutting edge of digital innovation. The protocol on digital trade encompasses a number of provisions that I believe have the potential to significantly catapult our continent into global competitiveness in the digital economy. The heads of states have said, we want data to move across the continent freely. We want to prohibit the localization of computing services because we believe that we can and we should be a single digital market as the African continent. This protocol on digital trade must be inclusion. It must be inclusion of young Africans. It must be inclusion of small, medium enterprises, particularly those that are run by women. The reason we said we want to launch the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System in Ghana, Accra, is because we are fully conscious of May 1963. When our founding mothers and fathers said, not only are we occupied with pushing back the colonialists, but also we want to establish a Pan-African Payment Union.
You're still watching Business Live. We are back after this break. Thanks so much for staying on. Some civil society organizations have joined calls for strongly condemn the National Petroleum Authority's additional $80 per metric ton tax on LPG, as announced months ago in the recent pricing structure revision. According to the director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, Benjamin Nsia, the move is short-changing consumers across the country. He further said that the new tax will only worsen an already dire situation in the LPG sector.
NPA, according to them, introduced this $80 to take care of two things. The first is that within the $80, $44 of the $80 goes to what we call cylinder investment. Dear colleagues, if I have not benefited from the use of a cylinder, why should I pay $44 for an investment that I have not benefited? And we started paying this $44 since April of this year. So each person that buys LPG, you pay $44 to NPA for no investment in the LPG petroleum downstream in the arena. And that is unfair to the LPG user. Now, aside the $44 that goes to cylinder investment, NPA also says that within the $80, they are taking $36 per metric for what we call bottling of the cylinders. As we speak, the cylinder recirculation model has not taken shape. We've not implemented it effectively. So why should the LPG consumer continue to pay $36 for no bottling, because the LPG consumer continues to go to the filling station to fill their bottles. Any LPG consumer here, including those of us in this room, we go to filling stations to fill our bottles. So why should we pay $36 for a bottling that has not started? That is also unfair to the LPG consumer. So we think that if you look at $80 that has been introduced by an MPA on this particular plant, this $80 is going to deter a lot of LPG consumers from consuming the product. Because as we speak today, the LPG price in Ghana is the most expensive in Africa. The LPG price in Ghana is expensive more than the white collar product.
Trunks are every boarding student's treasure box. They are symbols of organization, security, and a home away from home. But have you ever wondered about the hands that craft these essential items? Well, Joy Prime's Florence Ahodegbe caught up with 23-year-old Justice Kwesi Arthur Jr., who inherited the art of trunk manufacturing from his father.
I found myself here in Palladium, where craftsmanship runs deep in the veins of the community. Today, I will dive into the age-old tradition of trunk manufacturing, where skills are passed on from generation to generation. Come along.
In the lives of boarding students, trunks are more than just storage containers. For students, a trunk is like a treasure box. It has nearly everything: books, clothes, and other personal effects. In the trunk, students learn how to organize stuff. Meet Justice, a 23-year-old man who learned the trunk-making business from his father. From a young age, Justice has been immersed in the essential pieces for students.
For the trunk business, that's my dad's occupation. So growing up as a kid, I'll follow him here on weekends. Then he'll be like, oh, just do this for me, do this for me, do this for me. Then I'll do it. So I was with him, learning alongside. So after junior high, that's when I came to work with him. I'll follow him every day, come and work with him. Yeah. So even when I go to school as an SHS, when I vacate, when I come back, still be with him. Then after SHS, that's how I got into it. We get a material from the market, that's timber market. That's blue, we get it, buy, then we straight the plate, we mark it, we have a pattern, already made pattern. So we put it on it, mark it, cut it, then we start molding. So we mold, then they wet, then we come and cover, then they grind it. The boys grind it, then they spray, and we wrap it.
Making trunks is not merely a business. In every box, he builds and welds on his father's legacy with pride.
Working with my dad, it's so, I don't know, comfortable. Like, no pressure, no stress. Actually, if I'm not even well, I can stay at home and be like, Dad, I can come. But like working for someone, they will still demand you to come because they are paying you. But it's my dad, so the liberty is there. So working for someone I'll really give a double thought.
The demand for trunks is especially high during the back-to-school rush, with Justice selling up to 50 trunks a day. So
here we call it the rush hour or the season time. So in the season time, that's when it's time for a week.
Florence Ahodegbe's report. Ending the bulletin with me, Pius Kojo Baka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business. More stories on the portal. Enjoy your weekend.